Alright, I am back here with round 5 of our Modern League. We played with Abbot Zoo. So this is 5th and final round. We are currently 4-0 in the league. And we lost the die roll here. And this opening hand is complete garbage. Knowing what the matchup is, in hindsight, we probably should have kept this hand. But not knowing what we're playing against, you can't keep 2 bolts, Seal of Fire, off of just a mountain. Especially when you're holding Path, Command, Pride Mage. So we're going to mulligan down. R6 is fantastic, except it doesn't have lands. If any one of these was a land instead, that's definitely a keep on the draw. But it's not quite good enough, so we're going to go to 5. Same problem. So we're going to 4. We see Bolt, Stomping Ground, Kurdape, which is almost what our first hand was. Just -3 cards. So that's going to have to be what we keep. So we keep that on the draw. Hopefully we can just draw out of it with some lands. We see Island, Aether Vial, which definitely most likely just means Merfolk. Never know with some people online what it could be. We're going to assume it's Merfolk. So Aether Vial's going up to 1. He's going to play Cavern Souls, naming Merfolk. So of course that's what we're going to see. And we see Silvergull Adept. We could just untap and Bolt, which we do. We're going to try to stay a little bit aggressive here, try to keep his board somewhat clear. This Aether Vial can definitely do some work against us, a lot of damage. But we have to get in the damage we can early and try to not fall behind even though we're only on 1 land. So he's going to have second Cavern, Vial at 2. He's just going to file in a Silvergull Adept, drawing a card, and then play a Master of Pearl Tridents. So he has a 3-2 and a 2-2. We find Path, which is not great when we don't have a second land. So we're going to swing in here. And our opponent makes the worst block of his life. I don't know what he was thinking. So in response to that block, we're just going to bolt away the Master. We're going to get rid of the Silvergull Adept. We're going to keep our Kurdape alive. And we've swept his board, sticking on 1 land, which is great. We just need to find lands now, and we can maybe pull out of this. So he vials in a Master, is going to play a Master of Waves, which is fine. We have Path Exile, we just need white. So let's pray to God we get a white source. Boom, we find a white source, Arid Mesa. Let's crack that. We can't just get a Plains here. We need to stay up on colors. We're going to need to be able to cast a Satarka's Command. And Abbot, we want to be able to cast anything we find off Abbot. And so we need that second red source along with the green-red source that we have. Kind of sucks to take the damage, but we just got to do it here. So we're going to path away the Master, and we're going to swing into his Master of Pearl Tridents. No use holding back to block. He's just going to find a Merfolk Lord, and it would have been a wasted attack. At least that's what you can assume. His Aether Vial's going up to 3, which is fine. It's most likely dead this turn. It can be, Rejury, I think, is 3. But he does find a Lord, Lord of Atlantis. He comes in for 3, so we did make the right move, swinging with the Kurdape, which is still what you want to do. You want to stay aggressive. We've only gotten 2 attacks. He's only at 16, and we're at 12. But I think we're doing fine for being on 2 lands here. Aether Vial, second one coming in. We are going to untap, find another Path, which is, it's good. That's what we want. So we're gonna swing in. We're gonna contemplate swinging in. We don't want to just lose that. I think we were playing around these 2 sources being a Harbinger of the Tides. We're just way far behind then, if that's the case. There's probably an argument that we should have just attacked anyway and pathed off this Master if he did block with Lord of Atlantis. But again, he could vial in a Master or he could flash in a Harbinger. And I think we just decided at this point we have to play defensive. So we're going to let it go back to him. His vials going up to 4, which just screams Master of Waves. Other vials at 1. Here's that Lord of Atlantis that we were assuming he had. Now he's coming in for 8. We have the Path one. And I think we just take 3 here. seeing a second Lord is not great. We were kind of hoping we could dodge that for a turn and be able to path block and stay somewhat ahead on board. We find Mountain, so we're just going to go ahead and throw off the Abbot and hope to find a path or a bolt. And we find Tarmogoyf. Not fantastic, not the worst thing that we can let go. It would have been really nice to find the path or the lightning bolt at that point, but we'd already used 2 of each, so we're kind of cutting it thin here. 4 outers and 48 cards is not a great amount, and having to play the land first before doing that to be able to find path or bolt and be able to play it with the Sacred Foundry kind of made it so that even finding a land there wouldn't have been fantastic. So our opponent is going to swing in. We're going to double block. We're going to force him to have what he needs to keep these alive. He finds Master Waves, flashes it in for some reason at that point. Doesn't really make sense, but we are going to trade. He's going to get rid of the Curd Ape and leave our Abbot there, which doesn't make a ton of sense. I guess it kind of does. The 3 Bud is good to get away. But this just presents more damage, but I guess we're stuck on defense here, so it doesn't matter too much. We find another Abbot, so we're gonna go gung-ho again, hoping to find path at this point for Master Waves, but we find Forest, which is a Tarka's command, but it doesn't really matter at this point. We're just dead to all the elementals, so we'll let that play through. I believe I just concede when he decides to swing with the elementals, just to make sure he wasn't gonna be crazy. So he does, and so we're dead there. Game 2 against the Merfolk deck. We're going to be on the play. I believe we boarded in Chokes, Lightning Helixes. I don't recall if we boarded in our Destructive Reveries or not. If I didn't, I definitely should have, mostly because of Spreading Seas and not quite Aether Vial. Aether Vial is a nice splash attack against it, but really our mana is very important in this matchup, and Spreading Seas can do a lot of damage to it. Our hand is not fantastic, but it has a lot of beefy blockers, and we can hold up bolts if we have to for the early game. So he's going to Island Aether Vial, so that gives us free reign to find a Temple Garden here. And we're going to untap and just Tarmogoyf, I believe. A 1-2 Tarmogoyf. So not fantastic, but there's not much that his deck can do other than Vapor Snake our Tarmogoyf. I guess he could Dismember, but if he's using a Dismember on a 1-2 Tarmogoyf, I'm not 100% concerned or upset. So we're going to swing in with this 1-2, hoping he vials something in that we can bolt and just grow the Tarmogoyf, which he doesn't. So we're just going to let him take 1 and drop another Tarmogoyf, or do we drop the Smiter? I think maybe we drop the Smiter. We do. Okay. Just to put a little bit of actual pressure on, not situational pressure. He ticks up Vial to 2 and plays Kira, which is not great, but we have the damage output that we need to get around it. And we could just bolt path if need be. I'm not too concerned at this point, so we're just going to swing in with both. I think he blocks the Tarmogoyf for some reason. No, he doesn't. He just takes the 5, which is fine. We're still not going to bolt just to push in a little bit of damage. It's not quite worth it just at this point. So in our second main, I think we just drop a Abbot. Yep. And hope to find something we can play, because we have a Mountain we can play. We find Lightning Helix. So we're just going to drop Mountain in Lightning Helix's face, which is wonderful. Gives us a little bit of a cushion, pushes him down a little bit, and we're still holding Bolt, Path, Goyf in our hand after Lightning Helixing him and playing in an Abbot. So that feels great. At that point, he apparently had nothing in his hand. He had 6 cards, 3 lands, and a Vial at 3, and decides that this is presenting way too much damage on board for him. So he concedes. So we're going to go to game 3 here. And on game 3, we will be on the draw. In this opening hand, it's very risky. I'm not going to lie. Being on the draw and having Ape, Seal of Fire, it's not fantastic. But we do have Helix an Abbot to back it up if we can find a second land. I make the risky call of keeping here, knowing that these two loam lines are just 100% dead in our hand unless we find a plains or some way to fetch white. And we get very punished here. It's sad how this turns out. We play Stomping Ground here, play Kurdape, which is what you're going to want to do. Put a threat on board, make him answer it, or be able to put some pressure down. He has Relic. Relic is fine against us. I guess it's annoying for our Tarmogoyfs, but it's not going to break our day. He plays Silvergill Adept, revealing something. I don't recall, and this doesn't tell me. So we're going to untap and find a path. Not great. Not great. So we're going to drop the Seal of Fire. Actually, we swing first. Offer the trade. He does not take it. So we drop the Seal of Fire and pass the turn. We're not going to blow it just yet. We kind of want to use it for a more so a Lord than a Silvergill Adept. He has Spreading Seas. So we are up shit creek at this point. And so we're saying, yep, we're going to take this 2 damage. We're going to keep the Seal of Fire for a Lord if we have to. But we find Temple Garden, which is great. Temple Garden is fantastic there. That's exactly what we wanted. We needed forest for our Kurdape, and we need white to be able to play loam lions and paths. But having this island is just, it's wrecking our day. So we're going to swing in for 2, get him to 16. And I believe we just toss down a loam lion instead of pathing. Because we have the Seal of Fire. We can always just fire off the Seal of Fire. Our opponent plays Mutavault and Spreading Seas our Temple Garden. So, twice up shit creek. Not technically, most of the time, these decks only run 2 Seal of Fire. Not Seal of Fire, Spreading Seas, sorry. So, we shouldn't worry too much at this point. We're hoping to really find our Destructive Revelry, if we have them, or our Kasali Pride Mages, but we kind of can't cast those cards, even if we find them at this point. We're not doing so hot. So he Harbingers back our Kurdape to our hand, which we can't cast. So we're gonna throw the Loam Line in front of the Silvergill Adept to make them trade. And I believe we can just Seal of Fire away the Harbinger. We're not going to quite yet. Again, still just holding on for a Lord, because those are the most powerful things that we can get rid of. And our hand is just accumulating spells, and keeping that one-liner is definitely coming back to bite us. Kira comes down here. We should have just fired off the seal in response to Kira on the Harbinger. But Kira is just going to be the nail in the coffin here. When we can't cast any spells, all of our removal is blanked, even if we find land, which we do. We find a Sacred Foundry. But, Sacred Foundry isn't going to do much when your Path to Exile doesn't do anything. I guess we could Path Seal of Fire, one thing, but at that point we're very far behind in the Mutavaults, and Lords are gonna bash us in. So we got stomped out pretty hard to Spreading Seas. We definitely kept a risky hand on the draw, knowing our matchup better. We should have kept Spreading Seas more so in mind, but we didn't, and we got punished. So we went 4-1 here in the Modern League. It's still so hard to remember what those are, leagues. So we went 4-1 in the league with Abbot Zoo. You can look up the deck list. There's a couple videos back. I don't believe I've changed anything since then. I think maybe I've switched out a mountain for a Horizon Canopy, and that's about it. Just to have a little bit of a card draw, just in case. And often kind of found ourselves siding out the second mountain when we were on the draw, just because sometimes you flood out with lands. But yeah, so that was 4-1 in the Modern League. Thanks for watching, and yeah, keep on keeping on.